It's because I have on my hand a book. It's a pamphlet, really, a small booklet. It's titled Angry, Furious, and Deeply Frustrated. Now, if you listen carefully to the lyrics in that song, somewhere it says, people gamble with everything, right? You walk away when it doesn't fit your needs anymore. Let me read a phrase from here. There are many things that make me angry, furious, and frustrated as a short man living in the city of Douala. Let's stop there and continue somewhere else. I am referring rather to some acts of our own making that are impoverishing our people day by day, especially the lack of financial accountability in many of our quote-unquote njangi groups or the social groupings that some of us belong to. If you look keenly, a lot of people don't attach themselves to the njangis anymore because if you see money on the table, at the end of the day, they tell you. Now, what accounts for this is the essence of the anger. That's part of the title of this booklet. It's authored for us by Jumbam Martin, whose face should be familiar right now. Thanks for coming once again.
Well, Divine, thank you very much for inviting me. You saw that pamphlet and you thought, hey, maybe it would be a good idea for us to talk about it. And I said, yes, okay, why not? Let me come over and let's talk about it.
It's only
why I wrote it. And,
it's only 12 pages long. But I bet I was going through this last night as I prepared this edition of Inside.
Right.
And I just said, that's who you are. You just take these things down into written form and make everything so interesting.
All right.
Is it from a personal experience?
Oh yes, for sure. You know, as someone living in the city of Douala, we have all these social groups, call them njangi, call them tontine, whatever. And usually they're kept together. The cement that keeps them together is money.
Right.
Yes, in most cases, especially from those from villages, who are the people from different villages and small towns who are here in Douala. That keeps us together, these njangi groups. I come from Scotland.
All right.
And we have a good number of those groups.
I would say it's that ethnic identity, first of all, that bonds you together, that money begins coming in.
Well, when you're in a place like this, sometimes you want to be with your own people.
Okay.
You have lots of things together. People you grew up with when going to primary school, and especially if you went to primary school in the village, as I did.
Yes.
Yes, you get to know many people you grew up with, and then at a certain stage in life, you meet here in the city like Douala.
Okay.
Yes, now you say, okay, why don't we get together?
Right.
And put some money down together and help each other. And it's those njangi groups, call them njangi groups, are usually very helpful. Yes, we have virtually educated our children by being in these groups. Each month, we rotate from house to house.
Okay.
Each month, you made in somebody's house, the money comes on the table, and is shared. The person who, as we say, cook the njangi, who is hosting the group, receives the money.
Right.
So, the next is somebody else's turn. These are very familiar.
Yeah, at the end of the season, because you play for 1 year or a couple of months.
That's correct.
People take home a lot of money.
Quite some money.
Right.
And it helps people do quite a lot of things. I know I'm a father of 3 kids, and they're all grown men now, women, and gone their way. But okay. When they were much younger,
right.
In secondary schools, I could count on some of these social groups I belong to be able to pay my children's fees and get them things, and even build my house, mainly counting on what was coming in the process coming in from these groups. So they're absolutely useful groups, when they are well handled and well run.
Yeah, yours is an experience of a short man living in Douala,
yes.
And that's why you name groups like Bong Nafti, Samba, like Bani. But I mean, it's an experience that reaches out to all of those communities that don't live back home.
That's correct. You see, when I wrote this, I had the idea, I became quite frustrated because in many of these groups I belong to, the members of the executive, people who are at the top of it, either money was loaned outside the norms of the rules and regulations, or they are loaned out, because somebody meets another person behind, like a president or the treasurer or the secretary, and money is given to the person outside the norms, the rules and regulations. And at the end of the day, you hear, oh, this man has not refunded the money, or say, what's happening?
Okay.
Oh yes, I met the president behind, and we got some money, and then or the president said, well, I loaned this person some money outside the group, the meeting time, because it was an emergency. Now he's unable, he or she is unable to reimburse the money, and from there you see the social nature of the group. People get angry.
Cohesion begins to fade out.
Yeah, begins to, and people, my experience has been that some of the people who are in these positions of responsibility, who are people we consider to be some people of integrity.
You should stand out as role models.
Yeah, should stand up as role models. Sometimes start intimidating, especially the younger ones, making people keep quiet so you don't talk, and and in the long run, the group just fades, and people lose quite some money.
Yes, I mean, in there we're going to come to it, because you see some of these groups have rather helped to impoverish young and aspiring people much more than enriching them.
Exactly.
But that explains why everybody wants to be president.
President, treasurer,
At the end of the day, they become very powerful because they can cut deals left and right.
Cut deals left and right, and
get people rich and then get kickbacks rather from
kickbacks. Give loans for kickbacks and things like that. And my argument here is that if at this level of our social groups, we can be considered, kind of grassroots organization. If we are unable to be financially accountable, especially people who are in positions of responsibility in these small groups, are not financially accountable to their groups, they're not going to be accountable when they are running much bigger organizations in society.
Okay. So if you kind of mirrors who we are really.
In this country we always say you become a minister, because to us, being a minister is usually considered quite a high position in society, and you have access to budgets and so on. And why are we blaming the people who are doing that in positions of responsibility in government, or in some of our groups, in some of our companies here in semi-public companies that are going under because of the financial mismanagement?
Right.
Yes. If,
at the micro level, you cannot do better.
And then
what happens when you
get to that level? Right. It is impossible, because you have a freer hand, and your hand is in the till where the money is.
It's going to be a bit complicated as I think further on this, because hardly do you hear any of these presidents being dragged to court, facing the arm of the law.